Thinking about purchasing an iPhone 7 in 2018? Well, hold up. They got the video for you. Should you buy iPhone 7 here in 2018? That video is coming up right now. Let's go. Okay, so let's get this video started with a quick specs refresh of the iPhone 7, A10 CPU, that's 40% faster than the A9, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 12 megapixel 4K camera with a 7 megapixel on the front, and this has water resistance IP67, and it has iOS 11 upgradable to iOS 12. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the hardware experience. This phone has that classic iPhone 6 look, which a lot of people thought Apple should have redesigned it when they came over to the 7, and some people didn't like it, but I kind of like that this phone tweaked some of the design points that I didn't like too much on the 6 and 6S, which were the antenna lines, which I think look cleaner here. The camera looks a little bit better on this phone. And I think overall, it's just a more refined, polished version of the 6, and it feels quite sturdy, although you will be missing your headphone jack if you do decide to come from an earlier model. So keep that in mind coming into 2018. Now, in terms of that display, let's begin with the brightness. Plenty bright in almost all conditions. Even in sunlight, I could still see this device. Now, it is sharp enough at 326 pixels per inch. Never had an issue reading text on here because of how well the colors and calibration are with this P3 LCD. So on the whole, I think while it's not gonna stand out in stores because it's OLED and it's shiny in the store, practical day-to-day use, it gets the job done. iOS 11.2.2 is on board. That's the latest software that you can get from Apple. It might be different by the time you're watching this video. Software on the whole, it's been getting better. When iOS 11 first dropped on the 7, it had some twitches. 3D touch was slow. There was some issues, but coming in 2018, we have 11.2.2 now, and it's starting to speed up. It's not too bad. It's still a fast phone. A10 keeps it humming along just fine. Now, the battery, on the other hand, has been a complaint for a lot of people. For me, however, using an iPhone 7 on the day-to-day, it gets through the day, no issue. So if you do want to use an iPhone 7 for battery life and you think it's going to be a problem, it's not going to be a problem too much. But if it is eligible for the battery replacement for $29 from Apple. Now, sheer performance of this phone has stayed pretty strong ever since its launch day when I first tried this phone out, the silver model you've seen in that video, in this video. It's been pretty fast. Multitasking is smooth, no glitching, no hanging. You're gonna have a great experience even here now on the iPhone 7. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the battery on the whole when it comes to just its overall capacity, how it holds up on the whole. And I get about, 5 hours of on-screen time, sometimes a little bit more. You can see I'm already down to 87 with an hour and 30. So that pans out just fine. Turn on the low power mode though, and the iPhone 7 can go the distance, and that's what I really liked about the iPhone 7 is that it's a small phone, but it can still get me through most of my day, if not the entire day. Now, another thing I really enjoy about this phone is its portability factor. The iPhone 8 is the current one-hand iPhone, I feel, and I'm not talking about the thumb phone, the iPhone SE. I'm talking about the one-hand phone that gives you a large screen, but you can still use it with one hand. To me, the iPhone 7 fits that category. It fits in all pockets, nice and lightly and portably, but still gives you a large enough screen. In addition to that, it's pretty featherweight, which is nice because you're going to have no hand cramping or none of that using this for extended periods of time. All right, you're looking at a 12 megapixel iSight 4K camera with improved optics. This is basically marketing speak, iSight camera from Apple, saying you have a better improved camera over the prior editions. Now, the front camera I didn't find to be that much different from iPhone 6S, even though it's a 7 megapixel bump over 5 megapixel. Who's really taking a photo on their iPhone and blowing it up and put it on the wall? I don't know who, but you do get the classic software here from iPhone, which I tend to really like. I really like shooting with the iPhone's software. Now, in terms of the picture quality, you're going to get almost identical quality to an iPhone 10, I'm being honest with you. If you do go ahead and use a portrait mode, then you're going to notice the 10 is better. If you want a little more contrast, you'll notice the 10 is better, the 8 Plus, the 8. But this phone gives you great video modes, all that you would ever need. Most people are not shooting in 4K 60 or uploading in 4K 60, so those newer phones, don't sweat it. 4K 30 is enough still for a phone. The sensor sizes in the camera themselves are still not touching real cameras yet, so getting an iPhone 7, you're not going to have a bad camera experience at all. You also can take pictures with the volume rocker up on this device, making it a really fun shooter if you do remember to use that function. Now, you do have the phone dialer here, and the reason I'm showing this is because I want to talk talk about the call quality. The call quality on this phone has been pretty exceptional, including the fact that we do have speakers on top and bottom, not having too many issues when it comes to reception or anything like that on the 7. Pretty good phone just for a phone if you cared at all. And the speakers, like I say, sound good in audio when you're listening to music or anything like that. It's a great dual speaker experience here for this device. Now gaming, I got Snoopy Pop loaded up on here. It's not the most graphically intensive game, but many games will run, and many games will run perfectly on an iPhone 7. Now I actually haven't found any game to actually stutter on this phone, and that's great to see, seeing as this phone is going on its second year. Now, the best thing about buying an iPhone 7 right now is that you're getting significantly reduced prices. Some of these you see are a little higher than I would like, but if you go to Swappa, if you go to, you know, Apple's refurbished section, you're getting severe discounts over prior prices for this device. So this device still represents a rock solid value, I think, when it comes to being around that $400 to $500 price point if you could find it. Some people might even sell you this thing for $350 if you find it on the streets. So this phone is still really good at that price point. I think if you're getting around the $600 mark, I would start to look at the iPhone 8 because it's not too far off, only $100 off, and you do get yourself wireless charging, you get the newer cameras and stuff like that. Software can be improved, but the iPhone 7, I still recommend it in 2018. Go for it if you can find a great deal. If you found this helpful, thumbs up down below. Leave your comments down below if you're new here. Subscribe for more. Be sure to be well. I will catch you all in the next one, and peace.